So this is harmonizing the diatonic scale. We're looking at the major scale. Diatonic is a phrase that refers to notes that are of the same scale and not chromatic. So in a C major scale, we've got in alphabetical order C, D, E, F, G, and then A, B, C. 7 notes plus a repeated tonic. The names are tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, submediant, leading tone, and the octave. More familiar is the degrees of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. But there are common terms you've heard before, like tonic, dominant, and octave. So let's take each of these notes in turn and try and build a chord above it, using only the notes of the C scale. First of all, we're going to look at the construction of the C scale. It's made of 2 parts. Each part has 4 notes in it. 4 notes is referred to as a tetrachord. So you can see between 1 and 4, we have 4 notes. That's the first tetrachord. And between 5 and 8, we have another tetrachord. The intervals between each of the notes in the tetrachord are the same. So the interval between 1 and 2 is a whole tone. Between 2 and 3, a whole tone. And between 3 and 4, a half tone. This sequence repeats in the second tetrachord, where we have a whole tone, and a half tone. Then linking these two together between the 4th and 5th degrees, we have a whole tone. This is the formula for a major scale. It doesn't matter whether you use whole and half tones or tones and semitones. The formula is the same. It's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, or tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Now let's try and build up these chords. Let's take C, D, E, F, G, A, B as the tonics of chords that we can build upon. So we're going to call them position number 1, or the tonic. Now if we put a third above each of these notes, we count up. Above C we have an E, above D we have an F, above E a G, F and A, G a B, A a C, and B a D. But what are these intervals? We know that they're a third, but what kind of third are they? So C to E is a major third, D to F is a minor third, F to G is a minor third, F to A is a major third, G to B is a major third, A to C is a minor third, and B to D is a minor third. You can see the major third is made up of 2 whole tones, whereas a minor third is made up of a whole tone and a half tone, or a half tone and a whole tone. It's the same. 2 notes together like this represents an interval. We call that a dyad. If you want to add another note above this again, we're going to have a triad. So for 3 notes. So let's pick another note above the third we've already got there. And let's make it another third above that again. That's actually going to be the 5th degree of the scale. So a third above E is G, and then down the alphabet again, A, B, C, D, E, and F. So we have 2 sets of thirds, 1, 3, and 5. What's the interval now between the second set of thirds? You can see there's a minor third, a major third, a major third, a minor third, a minor third, a major third, and a minor third. That's really interesting because that's kind of the opposite of what we just had, except for the 7th degree. So the major's flipped to minor, and the minor's flipped to major. Now that really doesn't mean a lot, but it is an interesting observation. So now we have 3 notes and our triad. We can give it a name. Now you're familiar with these. They're majors, minors, diminished. So above C we have a major triad, then we have a minor triad, D minor, then E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. The B diminished is really interesting because it's made up of 2 minor thirds. 2 minor thirds together is called a tritone, or in history that was known as the devil's interval. So let's carry on. Let's put another third above the 5th. Now that'll be a 7th above the tonic. Tonic's also known as a root, but we're referring to it as a tonic here. So a seventh above C is going to be a B. And if we move down the alphabet with our sevenths chords, we're going to have B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. Notice there's no sharps or flats. We're not introducing any chromaticism here at all. What's the interval now, though, between the seventh and the fifth? Interestingly, where it was previously a minor, it's now become a major. And where it was a major, it's now become a minor. For everything except, this time, the fifth. Again, it's interesting, but not necessarily significant. If, however, we now look at the combination of these thirds, from 1 to 3, 3 to 5, and 5 to 7, we can start to get a formula, and we can start to understand how chords are built up and their names. So you can see we've got everything here except 3 majors in a row, or 3 minor thirds in a row. To have 3 major thirds or 3 minor thirds in a row, we'd have to introduce a sharp or a flat, and that'd be a chromatic note in the C scale. Based on these combinations, we end up with our chords that we're really familiar with as sevenths. We have major sevenths in the first and fourth degree above C and F. We have minors for D, E, and A minor, seventh. And then the fifth, we have G7. The fifth is also known as the dominant. This is how you get the name dominant seventh. Now, people often refer to the dominant seventh as being a flattened seventh, but you can see here it's not flattened at all, because the dominant seventh represents the fifth degree of the underlying scale, and the underlying scale here is C. It has no sharps or flats. The seventh is a half diminished seventh. To be fully diminished, we would have had a minor third between the fifth and seventh, not a major third, but to do that we would have had to flatten a note. A fully diminished note, fully diminished seventh, is a really cool sound, but it doesn't fit into the diatonic harmonies. So here's our major 7 in C. A D major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B half diminished, and C. I do hope you've enjoyed this video.